it's your man James, Mr. Quentin Treasures, back again with some more video action for you. Today's another jaunt into the realm of the comic book history, and we find out why it's great. And for those of you new at this, why it's great is where I take a comic book from the past that I've read and enjoyed, and I tell you why I think it's so great and why you yourself should want to check it out for your very own. So thank you all for joining me today. And before we get into the book that has been chosen, I want to say, if you like what you see here, drop a like down on the video. Help out the algorithms. Always appreciated. Also, if you got any comments about the book or anything I say here, please drop comments below. Always want to hear from the folks. Like to hear what you guys got to say. And, if you like it, share out some links and let's bring in some new folks, because I always want to get those subscription numbers in the upward direction. And to help out with that, if you haven't subscribed yourself, make sure you do so you don't miss any of the content that I'm doing around here on the regular. So with all that out of the way, I want to say happy Thanksgiving Eve to all you folks. I know tomorrow is Thanksgiving, and we're all going to be stuffing ourselves with turkey and ham and whatever other meats and foods we feel like ingesting. But so for this one, I decided to go, since it's going to be such a heavy day tomorrow with food, let's go today with something a little light and fun. So we're going to do something a little fun, little humorous in its tone, to kind of set us up for tomorrow and all the family and frustrations and everything else that will come. So we're going to do The Thing #7 from 1983. It's a fun little ditty. It's a fun little story that I really enjoy. I get a laugh at it every time I read it. So I'm going to share it all with you guys today. So let's get me off the screen here, and let's bring up the book as we share the screen. And here we are. It's The Thing #7 from I said from 1983. This is during the dreaded, right here. It's right here. Beware the Assistant Editors Month. This is the month where all the editors at Marvel went on some kind of like a vacation or some kind of like special conference, and all the assistant editors were left in charge. And in this case, you can see here, if we look up at this little image right here, it's Ann Nesenti, who is the assistant editor of the book at the time, and she took over. And so you can see this is like a little nod to you to let you know that this is going to be your usual standard fare with this character. But again, a great cover image by John Byrne. I mean, just look at that. Look at that face. I think after Jack Kirby, the only two people who have done the thing really right, in my mind, are Ron Wilson. Well, actually, three people: Ron Wilson, Paul Ryan, and John Byrne. Those three after Kirby are the only ones who really know how to do the character right, make him look the way he should look. I mean, the rockiness looks real, and just I love the grimace in the face right here, just perfect stuff. Just love, Byrne's work is classic. Everyone loves his stuff. And you can see here, already we're starting with humor, because you can see right here, he's being stomped on with some giant shoes. So I mean, right from the get-go, we're getting humor. So let's break on into the issue and see what we got here. So of course it starts out pleasantly enough. He shows up at the hospital here. He's his girlfriend has been injured in a recent FF story, which happened, and so he's coming in, and I just love this. The official visiting hours have not yet begun, yet no one thinks to stop the hurling figure moving so purposely through the halls of the great house of healing. He is Ben Grimm, better known as The Thing, and he is not a man to be diverted. So I mean, right there, they're hitting you right up front with this. He's a serious character. Okay, again, this is all playing up to all the humor you're going to see coming up. So as we go on, he goes into the room. He sees her, but there he is. Like I love this shot right here. Of her face, she's been injured, and here he is all in shadow, almost like he's a phantom that's in there. She right there, she immediately knows it's him, and he gives her flowers, and you sound unhappy, and he goes, and it's like that's the bond they share. I love this page because it shows you the bond that Alicia and Ben Grimm have, that even without her able to see, she can tell how he feels at any given moment. He said, so I just got a lot on my mind. There's little you can hide from me. Again, this is like perfect relationship stuff. This is the classic relationship, and I love this. Again, the melodrama of it all, and I love this shot right here. Here he is that telling her that things are happening. It's Fantastic Four changing. He's not sure he wants to be with him anymore, and all this stuff. and she tells him, that you've been friends forever, even before you were transformed. And he goes, it's just lately I've been thinking there are some things to life more than saving the world every 5 minutes. He's just tired of the grind. But I love this image here of the touching of the hands. His massive, monstrous hands and her delicate one, and yet they're intertwined. They're intertwined, and it's just he's been thinking about more important stuff, like about and we know what he's thinking is about us. How we are. You've just been injured because of my lifestyle. And I'll forget it. I'm just babbling as usual. And it's like I'm going to go. I'll come back at the proper visiting hours. And he leaves. Without expressing what he really came to say. And then of course just he's totally down. He goes, I'll be back, and he goes, I hope so. And then he's walking around just all full of doubts, full of melancholy over his situation. We've been in the negative zone, and he goes, seeing Doom killed, for real this time. That's what really got me thinking. I love Alicia, love her with all my heart. There's nothing like better than to settle down with in your standard issue ivy covered cottage and make nice for the rest of our lives. But seeing Doom by the farm has reminded me that the only way out of this crazy business seems to be feet first. When was the last time anybody heard of a super guy hanging up the costume and just retiring? So you see, he's very contemplative in all this, seeing what, how this lifestyle usually is going to end, and he knows it's not going to end well, probably for him, which then would not make it end well for her. And it's just weighing on him. And as all this is happening, all this melodrama, then we come on to our scene here, the bank, and you can see, there's a bank getting robbed. You got police and the news on the scene. And again, just look at this face right here. Look at this, Ron Wilson. Like I said, this is why he is one of the few people who really knows how to draw the thing properly. He looks massive and big, but he's got that squattiness, that you need. He doesn't look like he's 6 feet tall. He's smaller, but yet he's wide. And just the way he draws him is just so great. So the thing comes onto the scene. He goes, there's a guy in there robbing a bank. He claims to be a supervillain. He goes, a new bad boy in town, huh? Okay, I had my exercise for the day. So he goes crashing through. He's gonna do some damage. Okay, whoever you are, come out and get stomped. So there, just the tough guy bravado. And so the guy comes out, and here he is. And he calls him Rock Man. He goes, who the heck are you supposed to be? And then just a quick kick. He goes, I'm called Goody Two Shoes, and don't you forget it. Bang. Just one kick, and he sends him flying. I just love this pose. I just love that. It just, again, Ron Wilson, one of the few artists who is excellent at drawing the thing. And he goes flying, goes through a wall, before and he can even get his head together. And then here we get our Goody Two Shoes laughing about it as he walks off, thinking how I've already with my atomic boots I've already taken out my first superhero. But of course here's the thing, I don't believe it. Nobody that looks that dumb can hit that hard. If Stretcher was here, he'd probably be able to whomp up a dozen $10 words to explain how this clown just did that. But I think I'll just take the more direct approach. Okay, Sweden, let's try that again. There it is. That's the Thing style, baby. He's not one to mince the words. And but again, just boom, he gets knocked off his feet from a simple stomp. And then of course he causes it to make almost like a mini earthquake, and it crumbles the ground around the Thing. He goes, now he's been taken care of. I got other banks to rob, but the thing, you don't take the Thing out that easily. You caught me in a particularly bad mood, fella. No kind of mood to get knocked around by a goofball with with a stupid moniker. Hope your insurance is paid up, pal. And again, just look at that image, like right here. Just look at that. It's almost filled with menace, and yet he's the hero of the story. And again, I like how they can play with this. This is Byrne and Wilson playing with the fact of he's a monster, but yet he's still the hero. And just I like the way they play with this. It feels menacing, you feel scared, oh man, I wouldn't want to face this, and that's exactly what you want with a character like the Thing. So the fight goes on. It's clobbering time, and he goes, no, it's clodhoppering time. Oh man, you don't want to step on his catchphrase. That's just going to tick him off even worse. But there he is. He comes in. He starts knocking him around, stomping on him. Don't ever get up again. And then he takes off leaping around. I got other things to do. He goes over to the Empire State Building and starts climbing it, like almost like King Kong in a way. He's just hopping up. He goes, "This is really great. This is great. I really needed today. A dopey looking super baddie with King Kong fixations. There it is." And he goes, "You and you used a few more feet, and I made it to the top, and then I will show them. Then I will tell the whole world Goody Two Shoes has arrived." So this guy's all about like his ego, and you see that right here. That you hear that, New York? You hear that, America? I come looking for the land of golden opportunity. I bring my plans for atomic boots, like no other boots in the world. And what do? You greet Goody with open arms, like Statue of Liberty? No, you tell Goody he unwelcome, he illegal alien. Well, Goody show you now, America. Goody show you he most powerful one in whole country. Again, so this is all about ego for this guy. He broke the law to even be here, and somehow he thinks he's owed something by the country. And so he starts by attacking the Thing, who has followed him up the building. And well, you can see how that works out for everyone's favorite nephew of Aunt Petunia right here. Just straight down. The Thing's holding on, trying to keep from hitting the ground too hard. And of course, Goody Two Shoes makes him take the worst of the brunt. And let me go back to that real quick. I like these long, tall panels to show the descent. It could have been done in a lot of ways, but I like this way best because you get the feeling like you're falling with him, and I like that. Of course, again, another great shot by Wilson here. The Thing coming up out. He goes. I got a reputation to protect, because he's getting knocked around by this loser, and he's like, I can't stand it. He goes, let's try it one more time. So he throws a lamppost at him. He goes, this time just lie there, just stay down. But of course he doesn't. He starts kicking him. And he's there. The fight continues. This classic slobber knocker. You got to love that. The Thing cuts loose. Pain, anger, plain embarrassment override all his caution. His monstrous, terrible strength is unleashed, and Goody Two Shoes realizes suddenly that he may have been fighting way out of his class. See, there you go. You make him angry, it's not going to go well for you. And so he just pounds him, telling him how he feels like he's been a punching bag ever since he first became the Thing. He goes, and as of this moment, Ben Grimm don't take that kind of garbage from nobody, not ever again. He knocks him out. Answer me, blast you. I want to hear you yell, uncle. I want to hear you begging to me to stop hitting you. Answer me, but he's out. He's knocked Goody Two Shoes completely out. And then, of course, the triumph, I don't need to tell nobody you're beat. They can see that. I'm going to take these crummy boots as my trophy, like a bullfighter taking the ears and tail, because I won. Hear that, world? He beat me bloody. He dang near killed me, but I came back swinging, and I won. And I just love that great image right here. Again, Ron Wilson, one of the best people to ever draw the Thing. And this is, again, a shot like this shows you why. But our story isn't over yet, even though you may think so, because this and this is all story and art by John Byrne on this. Byrne's doing the story and the art here, and it's like, what's this? The Thing is reading the comic of his own story, and you can see he's not very pleased, those blankety blank idiots. I knew this would happen sooner or later. I told Reed, I said, if we're going to let them clowns at Marvel do comic books about us, we're going to have to watch them every step of the way. But did he listen? Oh, no. Don't worry, Ben, he says. I trust Lee and Kirby implicitly. But Lee and Kirby ain't doing our books no more. And now this. So, this is the kicker for the whole assistant editors thing. It's like we're getting very meta now. It's like it's now a comic book within a comic book type of thing, and I just love that. It's a lot of fun. So the Thing takes off to head over to Marvel Comics, which he does. He comes in all head up. Afternoon, sweetie. Don't bother to announce me. And he's like, Mr. Grimm, you forgot to sign the register. Nah, I didn't forget. And then here we are with Wilson and John Byrne and Nocenti. in there. They're talking about like the latest issue. He goes, John, I've redrawn this page 12 times now. Are you sure you know what you want? Of course I'm sure, Ron. Don't you understand? The artwork must reflect the majesty of my storyline, the scope, the grandeur. And then, here's Innocenti. John, do you have time to fix this cover you do? Fix? Fix? Did someone say fix in my presence? I love this. See, again, this is the fun stuff. They're making fun of themselves. Byrne is like just a colossal ego, and Innocenti is like a shrinking violet here. Look, I know I could lose my job for even mentioning it, but it's just hilarious stuff. And then, of course, the Thing shows up, and he's not happy. All right, who's the first to get their heads broke? And so he goes, well, it ain't Jim Shooter, kiddies, and I want to know which one of you is responsible for this libel, and then they're like, what are you talking about? And he goes, and I think he's talking about how angry he is, and I love Byrne, the Byrne commentary that he gives himself is hilarious. Am I to construe from this that you are in some way displeased with the current issue? I love that all this like nuance of like just these highfalutin ways of saying things. I love that. Like, he's just so egotistical. And he tells him like, yeah, I went the goody two shoes. He tried to use those funky boots on me. He goes, well, it was just no contest. He goes, you could have done the whole fight in about 2 panels, but what do? Page after page fighting this clown and almost losing. So he's all ticked off and making him look bad. His reputation, after all, it matters so much. And so, here's Ron Wilson trying to calm him down. We had to do something to make the story more suitable to your public image. And then Byrne, that's my chair, shutting him up. And so they're trying to calm down. If I'd drawn that regular sized guy that Goody Two Shoes really was, it would have looked mean for you to be beating up on him. And sometimes we have to embroider a bit, because not everything that happens to you is the kind of cosmic grandeur type stories your fans expect. We do have a monthly magazine to produce. And then, of course, Byrne stepping in as always and sometimes your life just isn't interesting. Not interesting. Uh-oh. Just that shot right there of the eyes, that says it all. Again, you don't even need the dialogue. If he just said that and we just would have seen, it would have been like silent in this panel, just the eyes alone. You already know what's coming. So he goes, well, just hang around a minute. Maybe I can liven things up a bit. So he closes the door. I love this. The door with a big star with Byrne's name on it. Like he's like the man. He's the big star. I love that. And then, of course, we see what happens. In comes someone else. It's Roger Stern. And, he gets scared by the Thing. He goes, I know you. You're that Roger Stern guy. You ain't never wrote me, so I got no beef with you, right? And he goes, no, sir. Lucky he doesn't remember that Christmas treasury. And then, of course, well, if you're looking for Innocenti or Wilson or Byrne, I wouldn't go in there if I was you. It's kind of interesting. So again, I love the whole meta vibe. I love this. How again, this is in the days when Marvel could make fun of themselves. They could laugh at themselves. Just a lot of fun. And again, just great shots of the Thing. Throughout the whole issue, both by Byrne and by Wilson. I mean, the shot of him in the chair, the close up of the eyes. The shot here and busting the door open. Just great stuff. And like I said, then when you get to like that shot right here, the victory shot is just awesome. I mean, again, just very powerful stuff. But yeah, it was completely fun. You're watching him get knocked around, total slobber knocker. Great images like this one right here. Like I said, Wilson and Byrne are like two of the only guys who really know how to draw the Thing in a proper context. And again, this shot right here, these 2 panels, perfection. And again, but even with all the silliness and fun and action, we still got the melodrama. We still got the heart of the character shown to us. His trials, his foibles, his sorrows, at everything, at the way his life is going. He's a monster who doesn't want to be one. He's a hero, but that's never what he asked for. He just wants a normal life, but he knows he can't have it. All these things, and it's just a great. Like I said, you get all that right in the beginning, and then of course, it's on to the action, and then we end it with comedy. So I mean, this issue is kind of like a smorgasbord of everything. Anything you could ever want in a comic. You want humor, you got it. You want action, you got it. You want melodrama, you got it. This issue gives it all to you, and again, all under the auspices of the assistant editor, Ann Nesenti, being in charge. So I mean, again, it's just a fun issue. It's something, it's not something that's heavy and you're gonna have to think on it a lot, or it's deep and involved. It's just classic comics. This is what you read comics for, is stuff like this. This is what you want. This is how it's supposed to be. And again, you got great creators like Ron Wilson and John Byrne working together, classic 80s action, classic 80s fun, and like I said, at a time when Marvel was able to laugh at themselves. And that's something that's very much missing today in comics. I don't see any real humor about themselves, how silly what they do is, how silly they themselves can be. There's none of that in any of the stuff today. And I really miss that aspect a lot. It takes away a lot of the fun that comics are supposed to be. But yet here is a classic example of how you do it right. You had plenty of action, you had the melodrama, you had the comedy, and again, great artistry throughout with two artists. Again, two of the few artists who I think draw a very awesome thing, who always understood how to get that character to look just right, powerful, broad, and yet squatty. That's how the thing is supposed to look. And both you saw in this issue, you got both Byrne and Wilson do it, and you saw why I think that they're just the greatest, modern day artists of the character. And so definitely one to check out here, The Thing #7 from 1983, Assistant Editors Month. A lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of action, and some heart in there too. So definitely one worth checking out. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't read it yourself, you should, because again, you're going to have a good time with this. And again, the perfect thing to help set you up for what you're going to have to deal with tomorrow with Thanksgiving is to enjoy a book like this. So, if you guys are heading out to your local comic shops today, the day before Thanksgiving to get your stash, make sure if they have back issues, you pick up a copy of this. You won't regret it. You'll have a lot of fun with this. I always have, and I go back and read this one occasionally, just whenever I need to pick me up, just whenever I need a good laugh, I'll read this issue and remind myself of how fun comics are supposed to be. And there we have it, The Thing #7, another one in the books, your pre-Thanksgiving episode. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed checking that out. It was a lot of fun to bring that to you guys. As for what's coming up, I have another artist appreciation I'll have for you, and some things I'm working on in the background, of course, as always. I don't want to spoil anything, but if you like comic art, you will like some of the things I have coming up. That's all I'll say. That's all I'll say about it right now. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to these things, and I will be back soon with some more stuff for you. And I just want to let you know that if you like what you heard here, please throw some likes down there. I always like to get those algorithms going, and please let me know your comments. Do you think I'm on the money? Do you think that this is a time when Marvel was fun and we need that back, or do you like the more dour times that we are in now? I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think this issue was great? Do you think Ron Wilson and Byrne are the best modern day Thing artists? Or is there someone out there you think is better? Let me know. I want to hear from you guys. And of course, share out links, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of this stuff around here, as I'm always popping out the new content. And I will be back very soon with some more stuff. And until next time, take care.